As a new mom, I thought I was ready for any and everything, but nothing would have prepared me for the day the hospital stole my placenta. Stick around and I'll share with you exactly what they did to me. Now, friends, I've never shared this story publicly because every time I think about it, I just want to break down and cry. So just be mindful that this, for me, was very heartbreaking, hurtful. It made me very angry. And honestly, it was one of the hardest things I've ever had to deal with, ever. So let me give y'all a little story time. Now, most of you know my name is Coach Maria with The Herbal Flower, and I wanted to have my baby at home, you know, a holistic approach, but it didn't work out that way. Not because of any complications, but because with my firstborn, which was 11 years ago, I gave birth to her through a C-section. I was not on a holistic journey. I didn't know anything about the holistic approach. So with my second child, I had gained more knowledge about holistic health and things like that. So when I was home in labor, which I induced myself, that's a topic for another time, but I was going through my contractions. My partner, he actually checked my cervix, you know, all of that. I was about 8 centimeters and I was in pain, really, really bad pain. But as a mom who's never gave birth naturally, I didn't know what the pain would feel like. And if I was only at 8 centimeters, my water had not broke yet, then I was like, oh, you know, let's go to the hospital. So by the time I got to the hospital, the pain kicked up. The hospital is only 2 minutes away. So we got to the hospital. I'm checking in. Now my partner pulls up to the front, lets me out. I walk in. Now granted, I'm able to walk, talk. I'm in my right state of mind. So my partner's parking the car. I'm checking in. I go upstairs to the ward. And again, I'm walking. So I'm okay. I'm in pain, but I'm okay, right? So I get into a room, they check, and I'm about 9 centimeters at this time. So they get me to the room to give birth. My partner is still not in the room with me. At this point, I think he's downstairs checking in, about to come upstairs. So as I'm in the room, I let both of the nurses know that, you know, I want my placenta. At the time, I didn't sign any paperwork. I didn't do nothing, but I told both of these women, you know, hey, I want my placenta. And they're getting ready. They're getting the baby station ready. They're, you know, hooking me up to IV. They're doing everything. By this time, my partner enters into the room. As soon as I laid down, my water broke, pop. And, you know, labor gets started. Active labor is getting started, right? So one thing, this is like a side note, one thing that I absolutely hated when giving birth to my daughter at the hospital is I could not change the position I was in. I was on my back, and as a natural healer, I know that that's not the best way to be when giving birth to the baby. It needs to come down. The baby needs to come down, right? So I couldn't change my position. It was just a really bad experience. But baby gets here, everything's great. I'm in the hospital for a day and a half, I think. A day and a half to 2 days. You know, make sure the baby has a wet diaper, a dirty diaper. Y'all know the routine, right? As we're gearing up to leave, I'm like, okay, baby's good, I'm good. Excuse me, nurse, can I have my placenta, please? This lady looked crazy, like she didn't know what I was talking about. Now this time it's a different nurse, but she's like, placenta, you know, what? So she leaves out the room. She's gone about 5 to 7 minutes, okay? So I'm sitting there not thinking nothing of it. With my partner, we're just having a conversation, you know, looking at the baby, looking at the bundle of joy and things like that. The nurse comes back into the room, and what she tells me is, oh, the placenta has went to medical disposal. And I'm like, okay. Good for that. Can you go and get my placenta, please? Because it's mine. It's mine. You know what I mean? That's what I'm thinking in my head. This is mine. I created that. It's mine. It's mine. So, long story short, she could not go back and get my placenta. So I freaked out. I just freaked out. I became really sad, crying. And I felt like I went into just a really dark place. Please read in between the lines. YouTube doesn't allow me to say certain words or it gets flagged. But I went into a really, really dark place. And I feel all these feelings right now coming up because, y'all, it was mine and they stole it. I'm so pissed. But there's more. As I began to heal and move along through my journey of not being able to have my placenta, and it still bothers me to this day. What I did was some research, and I learned that, you know, they use the placenta for stem cells, they use it for research, medical treatment, and they're worth a lot of money. If you Google it, it may not tell you that it's worth a lot of money, but honestly, it is worth a lot of money. But it's the fact that they stole what was mine. Now, some people don't care about their placenta, but I do. Some of the things that I did have planned for my placenta, I know some people encapsulate it and they consume it. I don't know if I was going to do that, but it was floating around in my thoughts, if you know what I mean. So it was encapsulate. I could have buried it, saved it in my freezer for when I move into a house, and bury it in my backyard and have a tree, friends. That hurt. That hurts so bad, knowing that I cannot do that. Now, for my first child, I didn't know about everything there is to know. And I don't know everything now, but it was the simple fact that it was mine and I had plans for it. So, while I gather myself. So, some advice I want to give to new mom, if you are thinking about having a baby and you want to keep your placenta, some advice I would share with you is always have somebody with you in the room. No matter what. It does not matter if they're out parking the car. Bless you. It does not matter if they're out parking the car or anything like that. They need to be in the room with you to advocate for you. And just make sure that they're paying attention to what the nurses are doing and what they're not doing. Because again, you're in labor, trying to get things going and flowing, making sure everything's safe. Another piece of advice I would give to you is always ask the doctor and the nurses questions. I don't care if it seems like a stupid question, dumb question. You always ask questions. Always. And to piggyback off of the questions that you are asking your doctor and your nurses, you always see if there's any paperwork that you need to sign related to your placenta to get your placenta. So what I'm understanding is I told both the nurses verbally that I wanted my placenta, but I never signed any paperwork. And I feel like it's negligent for you to hear that I want my placenta and you not say, well, in order for you to get your placenta, you must sign a piece of paper, basically. I did not know I needed to sign paper. I was not informed of that, which really ticks me off, y'all, so bad. So just make sure, even if you can do this before having your baby at week 36 and you're going every single week for that last month, I would just say, hey, I want to get my placenta. What do I need to do to retrieve that? Because I do need it and I do want it. You know what I mean? This video is to bring awareness to you all. This is really, really hard. It's been almost 4 years in September that I actually had my placenta stolen. It bothers me so bad because I can imagine having a tree out that's planted from something that came from me. It hurts so bad, and I do not want this to happen to you. I was robbed from the corrupt hospital, and I don't want anything like this to happen to any mom. Will I ever have a baby in the hospital again? Probably not. I'll probably try to find a doula center or a different kind of medical center to go to that's not the public hospital that everyone goes to. I would actually go somewhere where I feel like the doctors actually care about the patients. But friends, I'm not going to hold you too long. If you have any questions, please drop them down below. Give me a heart if you made it this far in the conversation. And if you have any other advice or tips that you may have to share with other moms, please let them know down below. And I will see you all in the next video.